Is blockchain the solution for the digital identity hurdle? Moderated by Gustavo Montero, GAM Advisory.
Yep, come in.
With Sheikh Menda,
Okay, guys.
Dubai Blockchain Center.
We're gonna make this a lot of fun. I'm the ex-CEO of Standard Chartered in Switzerland. Left the bank 10 years ago to manage crypto assets. I'm an asset manager of crypto assets. I told these guys I don't believe any of the numbers they put on the table. Not one of them. I don't think we know where Bitcoin is going to go. The only thing we know is going to keep growing. That's the only thing we can say. Please have a seat. All right, so the subject today is very interesting. We, as asset managers, we're confronted to digital identity every day, every minute, because we onboard clients, right? So the subject today is really, is blockchain the solution for the digital identity hurdle? I have a fantastic panel. We're missing one person, but we're going to do this very interesting. I'd like to start by my left. If you can introduce yourself, tell us what you do, and then we'll go into the questions afterwards. Rene.
Hello, my name's Rone de Beauvoir. I'm the founder and CEO of XCEL Crypto Partners, and I am the author of a new book entitled The $1 Million Plan, Living Well Without Limits While Creating Wealth and Helping Other People.
Right, so Josep.
Hey, thanks for inviting me here. I was here last year, it was amazing. So this year I came back from California and hope I can have a great time also. I'm an investment banker. I raise funds for crypto, for blockchain companies. I've been working in many projects. Apart, I am the founder of MyData.org, which is a non-profit which was created a few years ago that is taking care of people's sovereignty of their own data. We've been working all over the world, and we have developed several projects to help people take care of their own data.
Thank you very much. Karnika, how about you?
Hey guys, very happy to be here. I'm Key and I'm the co-founder of Forward Protocol. Our objective always for me has been blockchain adoption. So I'm very, very happy to see all these members and the innovation that's happening here. I've been in the space since 2013 for 8 years, and I've been running Key Difference Media and Utopian Capital, and I'm super thrilled to be discussing about this topic today.
Okay, well, that's a great introduction. You know who we have. We have very, very prepared people on stage. You'll learn a lot today. In most of these conferences, we start talking to people like, you know everything that we're talking about here. That's wrong. It's false. Most people don't know what we're talking about here. So let's start by some definitions, all right? Your best definition for digital identity, what is it? And what is the actual identity hurdle? How do you see this?
So digital identities, the moment we talk about it, we always keep thinking about the identity issued by the governments. But technically, what is an identity? It's an expression. So we always earn to express ourselves in so many new ways, an informal way of presenting ourselves online, and that is a digital identity as well. And we always have the identities by the governments and by institutions and whatnot. So the biggest hurdle here is differentiation of identities and the freedom that comes with every form of identity and the restriction that needs to be imposed for certain regulatory practices or for functions to happen and for us to partake in the ecosystem together across all the different platforms that we're going to be part of.
Very good. Joseph, how do you define that?
Yeah, I would say that digital identity is a mix of what we understand by identity, which is our own information about ourselves, but also there are a lot of characteristics that are tied to someone's identity, which allows us to get information about ourselves, not only about who we are, but also what we have, what have we studied, whether we have a driving license or national ID or insurance, social insurance number. So all this makes part of our digital identity, and all this information which in the past was stored or was like printed in a paper now it needs to be stored somewhere so that we can use it at any time without any risk of being hacked, of being stolen. And regarding the main hurdle that you mentioned, I've been working on projects about digital identity for many years now, and I think that one of the biggest problems that we've been facing is the fact that companies, the startups, they wanted to create a one-fits-all solution instead of developing a small part of the digital identity problem. So I think that since a few years ago, this has been the biggest problem that we've been facing, and this is the reason why today there's not a single solution that solves the whole digital identity problem.
Alors, René, une bonne définition de l'identité digitale.
Okay, so for me, digital identity is very different. I call it digital personhood. It's all about the individual and the generation that they belong to. Digital identity is also about how is that person identified, or they identify by who they are, what they have, where they've been, or are they simply identified as being a human being, part of the human race? For me, digital identity, again being what we call in my company, digital personhood, it's about your right as a person to vote, your right as a person to be recognized, irregardless of what you make, how much you make, or whether you make it all. If you're here when I speak later this afternoon, I will be sharing a very personal story about why I feel this way and how I came about with digital personhood. When you've been homeless on the streets with only the clothes on your back, as I was 25 years ago, digital identity, or the identity in and of itself, takes on a whole different perspective.
Bravo. Now, let's play a bit devil's advocate here for a minute. In the audience here, how many of you will accept that someone put a chip on you somewhere, anywhere you want to, and that you cross borders with your information around? How many would you chip yourselves and go around with that chip in it? Any hands up? None. That's interesting. This is what I believe. I believe that we're not yet ready for this concept. So my question to the panel, I'd like to start from Keith here, is what kind of information shall we put on the digital identity? What shall we carry around with us?
I think the question is not really about what we are carrying. It's about what we want someone to see, what we permit someone to have access to. The information about anything that we do, it is all getting collected and it has to be stored. And only when it's stored, processed, as assimilated in appropriate manner, the data gains value and insight into our own lives. But then it should be us, the individuals, the owners of the identity, with our own privacy and our preferences, to make that choice. If I should give access to this information to a particular entity, and that has to be a temporary choice, it's not a permanent choice, but it has to be something that we always must choose. But the data has to be plentiful. I mean, if you are going to restrict the data and if you're going to have only less amount of data online, that does not really serve the purpose of what we're trying to achieve with the on-chain connectedness that we're looking to have. So it's not just the raw data, but also the interpreted data that we'll be having in our own profiles as we progress from all stages of, from healthcare, education, to what we do at work, and what we perform as our reputation and our feedback history on the blockchain.
Entonces, José, ¿qué información ponemos dentro de eso? What information do we put inside that chip, José?
Yeah, I fully agree with Key that, you need to have as much information as possible, but it's not about how much information, it's about who has access to this information, to which part of the information, and what can they do with my information. So the key here is that people can access to my information whenever I want, the kind of information that I want, and once they have used it, they can never use it again without my permission. That's the key.
All right, so privacy is a key thing there.
Yeah.
What do we say to people that they can share? What you don't? Would you like to have your medical history going all over the place? I'm Swiss. If I travel to Switzerland, would I want to have my medical history from here going there? on a chip somewhere. I am not that sure because I have problems to play tennis. I'm not a very good tennis player, so I have elbow issues. Anyway, René, dis-moi toi, quelle information?
First of all, I am against chips that fulfill all the information on a person. As I briefly mentioned before, you're looking at someone who lost her identity. I had to go without an identity for nearly 2 years because I lost $700,000 and was without any way of recouping that money or recouping my identity. Anytime, I mean, look at what's happening now. I came here with a vaccine passport identity card. It was accepted, but in the States and in France, people are barking about it. They don't want to have an identity card that conveys that they've been vaccinated. Like you're saying, if you don't play golf or tennis or whatever it is, or you don't want people to know that you have AIDS or that you have some other debilitating disease, that is your right as a human being to protect that. Identity should not be about full exposure, or as I call it, like the internet, push a button, any button, and download. I'm against that. I believe that you have the right as an individual, as a person, to release that information that you deem appropriate. Voila.
Exactly. So I don't want anybody to know that I'm a very bad tennis player. Please don't tell nobody. All right, let's dig a bit deeper into this. How about an example, Keith, of a project, digital identity blockchain, that you would like to tell us about? Anything?
Okay, so I've been working on Forward ID for a long time right now, and the main goal, the biggest question when it comes to ID is that you cannot just create an identity and expect that the world will adopt it unless there's a large amount of people united in that process, and that ID has to serve a specific purpose. So when I started doing the research on the entire digital space on identities, the education space made more sense because that has the large amount of people. The data is less sensitive than other sectors, but it is more important, more useful to connect, to take the data across borders to make things happen for people, to make things accessible. And when that was scaled, when more and more people joined it, it started to make sense. But then the biggest challenge came not in the form of data or privacy, but in terms of accuracy. So now, the moment you solve one problem, the other problem takes over, and then it becomes, that's when the blockchain becomes more and more essential. The data can only be validated and become more useful as we all together, as a community, validate and resonate with it and carry forward. So the entire digital hurdle here is not really just the privacy part, but it's about how we use it and carry forward.
Yeah. Josep, any project you would like to talk us about in that area? Anything that has marked you?
Yes, I've been working with several projects regarding digital identity, and the main problem most of them faced was how to make money out of it. So I recommend people that whenever they start a project regarding digital identity, they need to focus on the benefits that, of course, will bring to the end user, but they should also focus on how to make money out of it. If you start an amazing project to protect people's digital rights, but then investors don't make money, you will never get funding for that. So you need to focus on both. How to protect people's identity, digital identity, but also on how to make your investors make money. Otherwise, probably you will never get this project finalized.
Thank you. Ron, any projects that you'd like to tell us about?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we have been focusing on digital personhood because I was once among the unbanked. My focus and my years, I've lived in more than 40 countries around the world. Uh-oh, now you know my age. And I have been focusing on the unbanked, getting them financially included. We do that through 6 generational platforms, and it's working beautifully for us and for the unbanked.
All right, so we're just coming to the end of this session. So I'm going to ask from Keith and to tell us what message would you like to give the audience in the area of digital identity hurdle?
decentralization. Let's trust digital identities. Let's not trust everyone and everything, but let's trust what is truly decentralized to the philosophy of blockchain, to what we all believe in, and let's use it to the advantage of what it truly represents, to share at our will. Thank you.
Joseph?
Yeah, digital identity has finally found a solution to keep our information protected, to keep our information for us, and to give the information to whoever we want, whenever we want. And this is blockchain. So blockchain has finally solved the hurdle for the digital identity. We need to create projects now that, as I said before, are profitable for the investors, generate a lot of engagement for the people, because we need to find that sharing our information, sharing our personal data gives us some kind of benefit, not only economical, but also allows us to get access to more places, to voting, to health insurances, to all kinds of services. So I would say that digital identity is a huge opportunity for the new startups, for the new entrepreneurs. And I would say that if you dig into this vertical digital identity, you will find more and more interested investors willing to finance these kind of companies.
Rone, a message for the public.
3 words: touch, heal, and inspire.
Thank you very much. Okay, so listen, I hope you learned something today. I did learn something, a lot actually. Thank you very much. For me, as a crypto asset manager based in Dubai, who moved from Switzerland to here, this is exactly what I want to hear from people that have the expertise. So, merci, thank you, grazie, gracias, obrigado, shukran.